Okay. Thank you. Better. Oh. Hello, everybody. Hi. How's your lunch? Was good? Don't think so. Was the lunch good? Yes. Okay, that's better. All right, so are we ready? Okay. Well, thank you all for being here again this this afternoon. And yesterday it was a good evening, and the whole day was amazing. And I just want to say thanks again for having me here. And it's been a great experience. And, I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you. And I just want to get some hands up for the people who were here yesterday on my talk. Anybody? A few? Oh, you guys were here. All right. Well, that's okay. You're still going to hear the same thing. Unless if you're not interested anymore. Are you? No? Okay. I still seen people coming in, so I'm just kind of like running around the bush until everybody's here. Or maybe I should start. I have a passage on my book that I just want to read to you before I start my talking. And for some of you who haven't get a chance to get the book, this might be able to give you the insurance to get the book. This passage is actually it's a belief from my grandmother, and it's a dream also. So are we ready? You ready to hear it? For some of you who have read the book, I'm sure you already passed that part, but I'm going to read it anyway. Palm oil is a vegetable oil that comes from the palm tree. It's deep orange in color, and in Sierra Leone, we use it to cook most of our food. Whenever you dream of palm oil, my grandmother had told me when I was 7, blood was spilled by the end of the day. I dreamed a lot about palm oil when I was growing up. And sure enough, whenever I did, I would cut myself playing tag with my friends or scraping my knee. But on our first night in Mangara, it's a tiny village, I had my worst dream ever about palm oil. I was standing in a big pit in the ground. It was full of palm oil, which came up to my knees. Beside the pit stood the tiny drum we kept full of fresh water, lake water, for the family. The wooden legs that held up the drum were on fire. The water inside was boiling. Steam rose from the drum's spout into the clear blue sky. The wooden legs began to swing, and the drum kneeled over. As it fell, the drum turned into my head. In the dream, there was no water inside, only palm oil. And as my head fell to the ground, the thick oil coated my body from head to toe. I woke up screaming. I had been sleeping on the floor on a straw mat beside Adamsi. There were about 15 of us in the room, including the family who earned the hut, Mary and Ali, Adamsi, Muhammad, and Ibrahim. It was very early in the morning. The sun was just beginning to show through the window on the other side of the room. My scream woke Ali. As he glanced at me, I began to shake. I knew he would be angry at me for making a noise. We had been told we would know when the rebels were getting close, because we would hear gunshots. That's why we had to be very quiet. I was afraid Ali will beat me because my scream had been so loud. Ali was a big man. When kids didn't do what he asked, he liked to show how strong he was by grabbing a tamalangba and beating us hard. Mary slept soundly beside him as my uncle's piercing brown eyes burnt right into me. I worried. I was about to get it. Then someone else in the room stirred. Try to be quiet, Ali insists. You will get us all killed if you don't. He glanced at me again, then laid his head back down on the ground on his mat. I breathed a sigh of relief and swiped the sweat from my brow. The room was already getting hot. I rolled up my mat and smoothed out the curtain dress I slept in and went outside to see who was awake. I didn't tell anybody about my bad dream, at least not right away. Once I have had a look around. I followed a woman I didn't know to the nearby river. After I washed my face, ran down some water over my braided short hair. I brushed my teeth with a chewing stick, which was just a twig from a tree. I began helping her wash clothes. I was carrying a plastic jug of water back to the village when Ali approached me. I thought, oh no, this is it. I'm in for my beating. Instead, he said he needed me to go and get some food from Agbaru. I wasn't sure I had heard him correctly. So I politely asked him, what is it you want me to do? I want you to go to Magbaru with Adamse, Ibrahim, and Muhammad and get some food from the storage bin. He said. I was shocked. I stood absolutely still as a droplet of water from the jug on my head dripped down my face and back. What kind of a man sent children back to a village that rebels are about to attack? I thought to myself, there are some others going with you. Ali pressed on. Some men from Mangarama. You will be safe with them. The image from my dream flooded back. I did something children are never supposed to do in Sierra Leone. I looked Ali, an elder, straight in the eyes. I then went further, and did something that was almost certain to result in a beating. I spoke back to him with a confidence I didn't know I had. I replied, no, I'm not going. I don't want to go. I decided to lie and said I wasn't feeling well. You have been washing clothes. I saw you by the river, and now you are fetching water, Ali said. You are not sick. You go to Magbaru and get the food with your cousins. I am not going anywhere today, I insisted. Shaking from head to toe, I told Ali about my dream and my grandmother's prediction. Something is going to happen, and it's very bad today, I said. It will be bad, and if you don't believe me, I will go, but we might never see each other again. I thought he would yet yell at me, but he toggled. Just go. I am sure nothing is going to happen. I walked back to the house where we had slept and set the water jug down beside Marie. Began to cry, and she too told me, "You have to go. You must go. There's nothing to worry about," she reassured me. "The rebels have never come yet. I am beginning to think that they are not even real. So do what Ali said, ask you. Go to Magbaru." I was still crying as I left Mangarma with Adamse Ibrahim and Muhammad. All I could think about was my dream, the palm oil, the burning water drum, and my grandmother's words, "Whenever you dream of palm oil, blood will spill at the end of the day." Thank you. Okay, sorry, just a little passage that I just wanted to share with you guys. And so this is a passage on the book, which a dream from my grandmother, a prediction that she used to tell me. And so, you know, and sure enough, as I said, it used to happen. And I came from a very tiny country called Sierra Leone, West Africa. Sierra Leone is supposed to be one of the richest African countries, but because of corruption, it's one of the poorest countries in the world. And it's been engaged in 11-year civil war since 1991 to 2001, I believe. So anyway, it's been 11-year civil war and horrible war. When the war started, well, of course, I was a child, I was a little girl, I didn't know anything, and the war didn't start in our side, where it started far away from our side. And so, by the time it came closer to us, we started realizing, the elders of the village started knowing that this is coming too serious, and sometimes we have to be advised to leave the village, to go to the bushes. We slept in the bushes for as many as we could, like days, weeks, maybe even a month. And so it was it was kind of like a fun to us for the children. You know, all we know was playing. We didn't know what really a war was. And so until when it finally get to our side, closer to nearby our village, when the rebels attacked there, and then we have to flee from our village to another village where now we went there for safety. But it was the wrong choice we did. And so being in this village where I read in the book, Mangarma, it's called Mangarma, it's a small village, but there was so many people were there, more than 200 or even 300 people gathering there, less than maybe 20 houses. And so, after 3 days later, the rebels actually attacked that village. And so when they attacked, as I mentioned, I wasn't in the village. My 3 cousins and I were sent to our village to get the food from the storage bin. And so by the time we came back, we found out that the rebels were already took over the village, captured so many people, burned houses, destroy everything. And so we were captured, and my cousins and I were captured. And so our hands were tied in our back, and you know, we were taken to separate places. And so we thought, you know, everybody was gone, so we didn't know that we were gonna still see each other at the end of the day. And so, not knowing that the rebels have different plans for us, and so I witnessed the brutality while the rebels were torturing many members of the village, children, young, old, pregnant women, babies, so terrible stuff. All those things are not the worst thing I experienced in my life. It was the worst thing was when I witnessed my 2 best friends was locked in a house with more than 40 people in this one tiny house, and they were born to life. And you know, just they scream, and still, you know, flooding on my head, my mind up to today, you know, shouting for help, and you know, there was no help. So it was terrible. And so at the end of the day, after I witnessed all the people were killed in front of me, because I have to watch, because you don't have a choice. I was hopeless, sitting there can't say or do anything. hungry, and I couldn't even think of hunger or even to be water to drink. There's no water, no food, no nothing the whole day. And so at the end of the day, I was handed over to 4 boys who were not much older than I was, and who took me to a spot where they asked me to put down my hands to cut them off. And this time it was April, going to May, when I was going to turn 11, actually. Yes, so they took me to a spot and asked me to choose my punishment. I said, well, I don't have a choice. I choose to stay alive. And they said, no, we can't leave you to go like that without any mark on your body. So I said, well, I don't know what else. So they decided to put down my hands while the other one was using the machete and chop them off. The other one was pointing the guns, the 3 of them pointing the gun on my whole body side, gathering around me. And so so after that, I passed out for several seconds. After I regained consciousness, I found the whole village was on fire and there was nobody to be found. And so I stumbled to the bush where I spent a night alone, and the next morning I was surprised that I was still alive, and I managed to walk and find a village where I was taken to the hospital in Freetown, because I didn't want to give up, want to lay down there. My life was still there and I was still able to walk. And I met a man who helped me halfway and also offered me a mango. And if you may ask why the book is called The Bite of the Mango, that's how the title came along, because the mango kind of helped me to regain my strength to be able to walk. And so I was taken to the hospital and received treatment there. And then after, I was sent to a refugee camp in a suburb of Freetown in Aberdeen. The camp was filthy. It was filled with diseases, dirty, and all sorts of crimes and all sorts of things, bad things that you can think of. And so I was there for almost 3 years, and the camp was a hell. When I said hell, this is the time when my 3 cousins also reunite in the hospital. We found ourselves, all of us, our hands were cut off. 4 cousins. I can't even imagine how that happened, but yeah, so for 2 boys and 2 girls. And so all of us were moved to the RPT camp, and so we have to turn ourselves in the city of Freetown to beg for our survival, food, clothing, all type of things, you name it. And this time there's no shame. I didn't want to do that, but I didn't have a choice. Either you do it or you starve to death. And as I was saying, there was so many help coming in the country. And, but it's just because of those corrupt people were on top of everything. And so, of course, the minorities, which is us, the one behind, we suffer the most. And, they get the best things and we get nothing. And so we have to beg. And so during this time, I also joined a theater group in the camp that helped me now to regain my faith again in God, because I remember there was a time in the camp, I felt like ending my life because of the thought of going through life without the use of my hands. And but my family also were in the camp, and the theater group helped me to heal and to look forward to the future with hope and with positive mind. And so I was able to survive. And finally, I get the opportunity to come to Canada in 2003 when this wonderful boy, it was just a boy, who his dad found my story on a newspaper in Canada, and he asked his dad to do this favor for him, to bring this little girl from this country to Canada to get a better life. And that's how I get to Canada. And when I get to Canada, things were different. I thought from going from Freetown to my village. No, it's not it. It's a whole world. Canada is a whole world. I didn't know that. When I get to the airport, I'm like, okay, where am I? I was lost. I don't know where I was. And so it was a challenge for me. I didn't know a word of English. I never been to school, and this is like a strange country. I didn't have any family there, and it was just it's horrible for me. But with my determination and and hope and faith and positive attitude, I was managed to survive and to try to make a positive use of my my situation. And so I started ESL, English as a second language. And after 6 months later, I was able to pick up a few words of English and able to write my name and spell it out and all that. And so I was sent, after 6 months later, I was sent to high school. It was hell. I thought it was fun. But I was determined because I wanted to learn the English. I wanted to go to school. I wanted to know what education was. And so I was managed. It was a rough journey for me, but I was willing to do that. And I went there with a positive mind, and I didn't want to give up. I didn't want to just lie there and be dependent for the rest of my life. So I graduated from high school after 4 years later, and when I graduated, I started college. But what I started first, I didn't like it, and so I keep changing. And so until I met my friend who helped me who convinced me actually to write my story on a book. And so it took us a year to finish the book, and it was another journey for me to go back and recount all the things that happened, and was able to get every single thing right. Well, some things maybe it's maybe I overlap, but so after a year later, the book came out, and I was named as a UNICEF Special Representative for Children in Armed Conflicts, and and so it's been a positive journey for me. And the book has been all over the world. I have to say, it's been translated to several languages around the world, and it's been like a journey, and that I have traveled alone with good people along the way. I met a very wonderful family in Canada who took me in and treated me as their own, and they were just so beautiful to me and wonderful, and I'm so grateful. And and the book, when the book came out, I started doing talks talking about my story and about the book, promoting the book. And whenever I go to talks, I have so many questions, and but there's only 2 questions that stick on my mind, which I use them now to talk to other people. And first, the question that I'm going to share with you is there's this little boy who asked me, well, what do you feel about the rebels who cut off your hands? Would you ever feel the need to revenge? I said, no. I said, I do not feel the need to revenge. I said, and I didn't know that I ever have that, confidence to use that word. I just said, no, I do not feel the need to revenge. That is not my place. My place right now is to forgive and move forward, because one said an eye for an eye will make the whole world go blind. I said, so I do not want to live in a blind world. I said, so, because if somebody do something and do it back, it's not going to be any better. It's not going to be any peace. I want peace. I want to live to use my story and inspire other people. I said, so I do not feel the need to revenge. That is not my place. My place right now to look forward to the future with hope. And also, there's other question which this lady asked me, said, well, what do you feel towards God regarding your condition as an RPC, for God to letting this thing happen to you? Then I said, perhaps God took away my hand so I can touch the world with my heart. And I try to do so every single time I have the opportunity to stand before you and talk to people, because there are so many thousands of people, of victims around the world who do not have the opportunity, and I do not know that I have this confidence to stand before you and share my story. But I feel privilege, and now I have the opportunity to share my story, not just my story, but the story of millions of people out there in Sierra Leone, those kids who their hands were cut off, their feet were cut off, and lost their parents. Some of them are still suffering today. And so those are the stories that I'm walking around and telling people, because I want you guys to hear it. And I believe that whatever I said here today will make a difference to you. You go home and tell your friends or your family and share it to your neighbor, and and make a difference. And and we're gonna, how many minutes do we have? 10? 20? All right, okay. So yeah, so as I was saying, so I hope that my story will make a difference in your life or somebody else's life. So that's why I really encourage you to read the book, because this book, it's not about the sale, okay? It's about what's inside it. I want you to get something, because I have so many reviews from this book about young people, old people, people with disabilities, just to say, oh, thank you, Mariatu, for sharing your book. Now you open the door for me to tell my own story. I never knew that I was gonna be able to tell my story. But this book it's too powerful. I'm telling you, it's not just about my story, and I encourage you to get it. And most of the funds goes to my project, which I'm starting in Sierra Leone, and I've been doing it quite a long time now, gathering funds and donations, sending them to Sierra Leone. Go there, I try to go there once a year when I collect a lot of stuff, and then ship them over, and then go there and donate them myself, because I don't trust people anymore, because I see those corruption in the camp when I was there, and I just don't trust anybody, not even my own family. I don't trust them, because they might sell them, and so sometimes not everybody can trust. So as I said, every single penny that you put or you help, trust me, don't think that you're just gonna throw it off the river. It's not gonna go off the river. It's gonna go to people. The family in Sierra Leone today live less than $1 a day. And it's very terrible over there. It's very terrible. The rich becoming more richer, the poor becoming more poor, and it's just terrible when you go there. Right now, one bag, 40 kilo of rice, almost $50. And just think about it. If you don't have the money, if your parents don't have work, job, it just depends on begging on the streets every day, what do you think is going to happen to those people? And they're still suffering. They need our help. And this is the only help I can offer them, by gathering, donations from generous people like you guys, to help them get something. And I hope that you won't think that whatever you give will go to waste. It's not gonna go to waste. And I'm gonna open now to questions, and I hope that, no? Question? One? Oh, no, one question. All right. Okay, just one question we have. Lucky you. Pardon me? I can't. Oh, how many people still display in Sierra Leone? Or they displaced? Yeah, there's still a few. Oh, there's still a few. There's still a few camps, and there's still the amputees and the war wounded, which for me I think Oh no! Thank you. Sorry. Oh no! Yesterday it was good evening, and the whole day was amazing. And I just want to say thanks again for having me here. And it's been a great experience. And I'm very grateful to be here. Thank you. And I just want to get some Hands up for the people who were here yesterday on my talk. Anybody? A few? Oh, you guys were here. All right. Well, that's okay. Still, you're still gonna hear the same thing. Unless if you're not interested anymore. Are you? No? Okay. I still seen people coming in, so I'm just kind of like, we kept full of fresh water, lake water for the family. The wooden legs that held up the drum were on fire. The water inside was boiling. Steam rose from the drum spout into the clear blue sky. The wooden legs began to swing, and the drum kneeled over. As it fell, the drum turned into my head. In the dream, there was no water inside, only palm oil. And as my head fell to the ground, the thick oil coated my body from head to toe. I woke up screaming. I had been sleeping on the floor on a straw mat beside Adamsi. There were about 15 of us in the room, including the family who earned Thank you. Better. Oh. Hello, everybody. Hi. How's your lunch? Was good? Don't think so. Was the lunch good? Yes. Okay, that's better. All right, so are we ready? Okay. Well, thank you all for being here again this afternoon. And yes, running around the bush until everybody's here. Or maybe I should start. I have a passage on my book that I just want to read to you before I start my talking. And for some of you who haven't get a chance to get the book, this might be able to give you the insurance to get the book. This passage is actually it's a belief from my grandmother, and it's a dream also. So are we ready? You ready to hear it? For some of you who have read the book, I'm sure you already passed that part, but I'm going to read it anyway. Palm oil is a vegetable oil that comes from the palm tree. It's deep orange in color, and in Sierra Leone, we use it to cook most of our food. Whenever you dream of palm oil, my grandmother had told me when I was 7, blood was spilled by the end of the day. I dreamed a lot about palm oil when I was growing up. And sure enough, whenever I did, I would cut myself playing tag with my friends or scraping my knee. But on our first night in Mangara, it's a tiny village, I had my worst dream ever about palm oil. I was standing in a big pit in the ground. It was full of palm oil, which came up to my knees. Beside the pit stood the tiny drum